First thing she'll do is become really centered, because I've been doing a lot already today, but I've got to come back into the room. So while we all do that, so take a deep breath and allow it to really fill your chest, and just bring it all the way up and bring it up to your head and push up to the sky. Now let it go. Take another big breath slowly and hold the air as long as you can. Slow release. One more big breath. Let it go. Okay, what we're gonna do, Stan's gonna share a screen and put something up that you will each see. What I've been told is that you're supposed to see this as we're talking about this, because it's all gonna make sense to you. And then I will come back when I'm going to be on screen. You won't, I'll be on because you need to see me. I'm doing the screen share because occasionally as I'm receiving information, I happen to open my eyes and I don't want to see anybody. So I just need to see the screen instead of people when they go. Okay, you can share now, Stan. The place that we're going to begin today is the message that we gave this morning. And it said, after today, you may begin to believe in yourself more. And that is for absolutely everyone that's here. And I will tell you, this has been an incredible day, and we will explain it all to you now. First of all, let's explain a few things. When we are doing this meditation, Roger is speaking as we. Sometimes he screws up things and he will say I, but it's we, because when there's an integration that has happened with him that causes that to occur. But basically, when this information is coming through, he's connecting to us to give to you. We will say that there are some of you here who have believed that somehow you have not been living your life in the way that was going to facilitate your expansion or evolvement, and that is not true, and we're going to prove it today. And that's why we said after today you may come to believe in yourself more, because when you come into the world, you are exploring, you're experimenting, you're discovering things, and along the way you have a lot of doubt about that. So people come along like Roger to help give you a little more belief, and that's what we're going to do today. But we will also say we are deciding that we're going to do more of these because there's so much information that we have given Roger now that there's no way that he could possibly give it all to you now and you would not accept it. What we're saying is that some people will accept this, some will run from it. We've delivered messages which Roger has seen, and others will read those and run away because they don't want to hear the information. We can say this in this way because Roger has done that for his 70 years until this morning. We are not saying that he's always done it. He's become more willing to listen to us. We're going to start with yesterday. When we began planning this, Roger had no idea why this day would be the day. This is why we want you to see coherence. He heard that word some time ago. He kept hearing it. We kept bringing it to his attention. He didn't know what that meant until now. And what that means is that each of you have come to the earth at a specific time. You were placed in places in the world where you could be the most helpful to yourself and to the rest of the world. But sometimes it takes you a while to uncover that because you are dealing with many other energies. You have connections to your ancestors, to people everywhere. Let's talk about that because there was a little confusion the last time about someone said past lives. We don't like to use past lives because then you begin to think that you have come and gone and reincarnation. You get involved in all kinds of other things. First of all is happening now. All of your lives, whatever you may have experienced, are happening now. And you can draw from those energies in this experience today to be able to facilitate your growth. All right, so when we began this, a few days ago, we had Roger find more information to begin to give you. Some of you may have seen that we said he was being really anxious about getting more of you here, the urgency. He didn't even understand why there was this urgency to get you here. That is because he doesn't understand what we give him before it occurs. You do the same thing. You hear your guides, you hear your spirits, and sometimes you decide to listen to them and believe them, and sometimes you believe that it's just crazy talk. And it is never that. You are supposed to follow what you are hearing. Rogers only recently began trusting because he started seeing the results, so he did this. Last night, we'll start here. Last night, while sitting on his sofa, we said, please go and study neuroscience. He had no idea why we were saying that. He even called his friend and said, I'm going to go study neuroscience. I don't know why. And as he did that, he listened to 4 hours of neuroscience. And what he was discovering is that he understood it on a level that he didn't quite understand. You each have these within your being. You have these intuitions that come to you that are energetic connections that have come from people before, ancestors, beings that you don't understand. But it is a real connection. So as he's listening to all of these videos and understanding and because there's another part of this why he was doing that, because there's several people here and who will hear this who have had neurological things going on that they didn't understand, but it is purposeful. All of it is always purposeful. There's nothing wrong. You have no disabilities. So as he's listening, there was one story in the documentary about 3 hours into it, and then he understood why we had him hear this. And you're going to understand why your life has been the way it has. There was a woman who had an illness, and she went to a hypnotist, and this hypnotist was able to give her the information in her brain to change her brain so that she could heal her body, and it worked. Now, after that, she re-injured herself. The hypnotist was no longer there. So she went home and she decided, I have to do this myself. And so she went into prayer and meditation. And through that, she healed herself. And then she created a religion. And that religion was called Christian Science. Roger was born into Christian Science. He's always said, and he couldn't quite believe it, he said, I came here to marry personal development, spirituality, and science, and still felt that was not what he was meant to do, as some of you have thought that the thing that you were given was not what you were meant to do. It is. It's just that it may take you some time to understand that. Now, understanding this part of it also told Roger why his grandmother was so important, why we're giving you this information. At one point, he felt, and some of you have felt this and didn't understand it, he couldn't heal things within himself. He couldn't do it. His grandmother was a person who studied Christian Science. She could do all of this. And he asked her one day, I can't do what you do. Why is that? And she said, you work to the level of your understanding. That means that each of you have the ability to heal anything within you, but you may not have accepted that understanding at this point in your life. And that is still purposeful, because when it does come through, it is the right time when it was meant to occur in your evolutionary journey. And so what we're saying is it happened for Roger at this point so that he could facilitate and do what he was here to do, which is to aid more of you in coming into belief in yourselves. He could not have done that unless he came to this place. Last night, we told him to look and see when Richard Branson's rocket was going to take off. So he did that and he said, it's in the morning, great, I'll have time to see that. Now, after we had given him the information this morning, he turned on the launch. And as he watched that, he knew why we had him studying neuroscience last night. And he also knew why we had planned this day, which he could not have known. He did not know that this launch was going to take off today. But he knew that we were telling him it was important, because what we wanted you all to see is that you're living right now in this extraordinary moment where each of you have this responsibility to help move the planet forward, to help your world become better at this particular moment. The reason in the last gathering that we had with you, we said there are so many things happening in your world right now that have not occurred for more than 100 years. There were several of them, and most people were missing a lot of them because you were focused on things that you thought were going wrong, like your pandemic. It was not. It was helping you to awaken to who you were. You've done this many, many times. When you look at your civilizations, which is what we had Roger do many years ago, he didn't understand why he was doing that. But what happens is this: you each come into the world at a time to offer your energies. And this time, those of you here, those of you who will listen, because you would not be attracted to this unless this was you, you came to make a difference and give something back to the world and help humanity raise its vibration, every single one of you. However, because you have been given that particular task, no, you were accepted that. You accepted that because you knew it would help you. But because of that, it's challenging because you don't understand all the experiences that you have had. There are several people here, that will hear this message. The three, one in particular, they believe that all of the tragedies, all of the difficulties that they had in their lives were not worth it, and that it meant that their lives were not worth it. That is never true. And Roger can tell you now, because he's experienced it, which is why he loves working with all of you. He can't see disaster in your lives because he's experienced that and found the value. So because he's done that, he knows that the way that he will help move things forward in this world is by helping more of you own who you are, because you have these magnificent gifts. And it drives him crazy when he can't get it out of you, because he knows that it's there. Every time he sees you, he knows that it's there. And we know that many of you who've experienced him have felt that, and you don't know why he knew certain things to tell you. He didn't either. You each have this intuitive ability. All right. Now you each will use it in a different way. Not all of you are supposed to do what Roger is doing. You're supposed to do what you're doing. You're supposed to do that thing that you were given. You were given this gift that you kind of sometimes feel and believe and then doubt. But that is okay, because you wanted to begin to believe it now. There's a pivotal point happening in the world where your energies are so important to uplift everyone. We made this also more urgent now because there are things going on in your world, which you will see in the next several months, that may cause you to feel afraid or may cause you to believe that something is going wrong, and it is not. It is causing you to open up and develop and own who you are, because your spirit is so bright and you have all of this light that you meant to give to the world. And now is the time that was supposed to happen. And we had it happen on the day that Richard Branson took off, because you're supposed to see that. You're supposed to see that. Let's talk about the neuroscience now. Each of you operates in the world based on the way that you think. That's all that it is. You operate in the world based on the way that you think. Now, there are all these other influences that may be going on because some of them are hereditary. Some of them have come from your parents that you might see, or relatives that you have no idea, or ancestors in different countries, different races that you have no idea, but they're connected to you because the thing that everyone has said to you, every religion, you're all one, you have a difficult time accepting that. There has been so much separation in your world that has occurred in the last couple of years so that you guys could come here and start to change that. That's why you're here now. That's why you're listening to this. Not everyone will do it. Not everyone will answer the call that you have, and you have done that. And there's several people who are having a really difficult time, a really horrible time. I understand, but we will say that that difficult time you asked for because on the other side, you knew that if you move through that difficult time, you were going to cause your evolutionary journey to expand, and that you would do that for the rest of the world. And that's difficult for you to hold on to, but it's absolutely true. You will do it in the way that you have been given. There were no accidents in anything that occurred in your life. You never did anything wrong. You never failed. You never did any of those things. You were learning, you were growing, you were evolving. And so now you come to a place, a pivotal moment such as this, that you're supposed to actualize it. Roger didn't even know that the new moon that you had in astrology was happening this particular weekend, where you all were supposed to come together and start to own who you are. He had no clues that. He just followed what we were directing him to do. You each have that, but you become afraid of following your intuition, or you don't believe it. Now, the neuroscience will tell you that because you have done this for so long, you have thought that you're worthless. You can't do this. You don't have the ability. You're doing it all the time. There are chemicals in your brain that are keep churning that out and creating that reality right in your world. Now, collectively, when you're doing that, you're creating a world that looks like people who hate you. That's what happens. There's no way that it could be any other way. If you are not loving yourself, how could you expect the world to look any different? You are all one. You're creating everything right now. But what happens is darkness comes in and you start to believe it, instead of owning the light that's within you and deciding to put that out in the world, which is what you're all supposed to do right now in this pivotal time that's happening in your world. We also had Roger see various discoveries that have been made that you take for granted and you miss all the time. We had him see a story, the Beatles. You think entertainment and the things that you do don't mean anything and have nothing to do with humanity or moving the planet forward, and you're wrong. There was a time where you have an imaging system called a CAT scan that was developed because the people who put the Beatles out were bored. They made so much money and they didn't know what to do with it. And so they decided that maybe we can create something, some imaging thing that could help know what's going on in the brains of humans. That's what happens. Your science has helped you to become who you are now, but you will alternately look at it, accept it, and sometimes dismiss it. Now, you will not all use it in the same way. There's an understanding, as we said, that you will come to with what is appropriate for your particular physical incarnation now. Roger gained a very good understanding earlier because he's had so many illnesses that he could not cure, he could not handle, but he also understood that every single one of them, and he can tell you now, because he wants you to understand them, because every single one, he can go back and he says, oh, I did that because I was afraid to be who I was. Oh, I created that thing because I was afraid to be who I was, every single time. And you have done some of those as well. And it's also the same with your money. It is absolutely the same with your money, because that is the other thing that most of you feel like, I don't have enough. How come I can't get it? Other people are more valuable. That's never true. You've just made it up. But again, your neuro programming has told you to create that reality over and over again. So we have to go through a restructuring of your mind as well as what's going on in the world. The program that we gave Roger, he didn't even know why we did it, how we did it. He didn't even understand the sequential way we laid it down so that it would allow each of you to open to who you are in ways that wouldn't frighten you and cause you to support one another in moving forward, because you're in a collaborative period as well in the world where more of you are supposed to come together and care about one another and help heal things. We must go back. There is something that is occurring now that everyone needs to be a little more aware of. You have been isolated in your world and your countries and not understood the vastness of your influence everywhere. And so you've left certain parts of your world ignored. And until that correction is made, none of you really become free. You feel that. You will feel that energetically in your humanity. And we're talking about collectively. So as you start to understand your importance, you start to become more prosperous. You start to put yourself out there. You start to become more confident. You start to own yourself. We're going to help you because we're going to keep doing this until you get to understand. You have to have examples. Roger had many examples. We will tell you, he didn't come to this place easily. He's had several coaches. He will tell you that he never believed any of it. A couple of weeks ago, we told him, please stop listening to everyone else. We had him jump out of different groups and stop listening to people because we said, now you have to lead. Because he has to lead, because each of you are supposed to lead as well in your individual way and in your individual lives. That means owning your gifts and your talents. There is not one of you here who was not born with gifts and talent that would help not only you, but the rest of the world, but you continually doubt it. We can talk about this openly because there's no accident that Roger has written so many articles from us about doubt and lack of belief, because he was supposed to develop it so he could help you. That was the path. Some of you, again, think that you're too young to do the work that you came to do. And we're speaking to someone there are several people who are in other countries and they will receive this, because you believe that somehow you're too young to do the work that you were given. That's what Roger thought too. He thought it for 70 years until now, because he thought that thing that he was given was not real. He couldn't possibly do that. He wasn't the person. Yes, he was. And so are you, except you get hung up on your chronological age and your timelines. And you don't understand them all. But now you're going to come into a better understanding of this. You're going to come into a better acceptance of who you are. Even though you may have gone through challenges and difficulties, those were the ones that you knew would help you become the empowered people that you wanted to become. That's always going on. It's no accident. Yesterday, the same thing occurred. There was a person that he felt this energetic pull to, and he did a session. He didn't understand why he was doing it. He never knows why he's saying certain things, except he knows that he knows he's right. He knows that it's right, but he doesn't know why. You have that as well. And so he went through this assessment, so to speak, with this person. And what he knows now is that they have been given the same gift that many of you have, which was this dream, this ability that I'm going to do something in this world that's going to make a huge difference. But now they will then counter that by thinking, it's not me, I'm too young, and I could not do that. That is never true. There was another person a few weeks ago that said, no, I'm too old to do this now. That is never true. And so to prove it to everyone, we had Roger send this client and himself these lists of all of these people who've created these wonderful, magnificent things in your world, who did it much later in their lives because they had to come to the understanding and acceptance of who they were before they did that. So your chronological timeline here has nothing to do with what you're doing. You're connected, eternal beings, and that's hard for most of you to really accept and understand. It was difficult for Roger. He only is now starting to see some of it because of these recent connections. But you all are, you've been here, you've done all of these things. And so now you're here to do this part of helping the planet evolve in a loving, benevolent way. And you know that that's within you because it's always been who you are. But now it's going to be easier, as we said earlier in the week. We said it now will be easier for you to move forward. Now, the energy, the urgency that we're feeling now is because we also know from this logical, intuitive state what could happen in your world if you do not take up yourself now. There are always conflicts that happen in your world to cause you to evolve, to cause the world to evolve. You've done all of this, as we said last time. You've been here, you've done bad things, you've been different races, you've been different sexualities. That's the other thing we want to talk about. There's someone else who is having trouble accepting their sexual orientation. Please know that that is valuable. That is valuable, and you have to own that, and you have to talk about it, because it will give more people acceptance. The problem that you have in separation is that you believe that you're all supposed to be the same, and you're not. You're supposed to be the individuals that you were born to be, because that's more valuable in the planet. It's more valuable in the evolution of all that is. There is, there are other people who thought that they weren't bright enough. You thought you weren't smart enough. It's not true. You were just working in the wrong way. You just didn't understand how to go about putting your life together. That's all. You're just working in the wrong way. You were smart. Everybody has this intelligence. This is one of the reasons that we wanted Roger to watch other neuroscience, because most of you do not know that a lot of this is only come into your world in the last 30 years, where it's really been studied and understood. So you're at the mercy of what was developed before, but there's so much more. Recently, Roger discovered there's not a lot of research done or evidence done on this connection that he discovered from his ADHD and his eyesight, in terms of how certain things are affected and how that also caused him to think about himself in a particular way, which you all have done. You have programmed yourself into the people that you are right now. So if you're not liking what you have, the good news is you can change it all. And we're going to talk more about that. We're actually going to do some things to give you some more help with that one, because it's a process, but you can do it. You can absolutely do it. We will tell you one story, because this is you don't want this one though. We showed him one thing about in this neuroscience where a person could not forget anything. You've seen some of those. You think it's a great thing because you want to have this memory, but they said, no, it's really difficult, because I remember every horrible thing that I ever did. I can't forget it, and I keep reliving it. That's what many of you are doing, and you don't have this particular condition. And you should look her up, because she was great. And she locked herself away for a long time because she didn't want to relive all this. She didn't want to stand out. She didn't want to talk about it, but she remembers absolutely everything. Now, there was another person, and you need to understand this, because we wish more of you could develop this. We wish that more of you would develop this one. Unfortunately, you wouldn't want it, but this person couldn't remember anything past 10, 12 seconds. You'd say hello, and then come back 10, 12 seconds later, and they're like, oh, hi, great to see you again. Absolutely no memory of anything that had happened just a few seconds before. And if you could adapt a little bit of that, in other words, forgetting the stuff that you've been telling yourself forever, that would be really helpful. If you could start to reverse the stuff that you've been telling yourself forever, that would be really, really helpful. There are no accidents in your life. Everything is going to start, you're going to start to understand it. And we hope that you begin to understand it now. Now, many people don't understand until they leave their bodies. So they leave their physical bodies, and then it's like, oh, that's what it was. We've had many studies, we had Roger see many studies on that, where, because it was important for him to understand this, that the main regret that people have, humans have, is that they did not do what they felt they were brought here to do. That's the only regret. And you are brought here to do your individual things, and you must stop comparing yourself to others. We want to say this, we need to say this, and we meant to say it in the beginning. When we do these communications, when we come through, we do not do a different voice. There is something that is happening in your society where you've seen other people, and that's why you've made channeling very weird. I mean, it's not, it's your communication, you all do it, but you just haven't practiced it in a way that you could discern the information that you're receiving. And so we made a deal with Roger, because he wasn't ever going to do this, but we said, and he knew it, you're not going to be any different. Your voice is not going to sound any different, because everyone needs to understand that you have this at your command all the time. And what happened in the beginning, many years ago, when he first started seeing people, he would see these folks that would do these weird voices. They would be going to contortions. He said, I don't want to do that. I never want to be that person. That's what you've done. You've discounted yourself. You just like, no. Then over time, you also started to see that some of them started to change. And now they're starting to speak as themselves, because they understood that it's an integration that occurs. You all have this. You live in different dimensions. You're living in the third dimension now, but there are many others that you don't know. But at times you will access those other dimensions, and you feel that. Some of you have jumped timelines. You call them deja vu because that's an easier thing to talk about, but you've done that. You've seen other things. You've lived things, and you say, wow, that I've been here before. Yes, you have. So now what's happening is you're on a particular path in your evolutionary journey that you decided to be here on the earth because you knew that the powers that would be available on this day would cause you to start to believe yourself a little bit more. That's what would happen. And some of you will say, oh, no, not me. Or you won't understand that one person could make a huge difference. When Roger got done with his crying this morning, after he understood everything that's happening, because we're saying that because a lot of you will have that. You will come to places where you finally understand why you're here. You'll finally understand who you are, and you'll just break down and cry, because the grief that you're experiencing is the release of the doubt that you've carried for so long. That's what's been going on, and that's what we needed him to purge all of that so he could tell you what the experience is like. But it's joyful when you finally do that, when you finally let go of your doubts and your judgments. And we will say again that just be patient with this, because if you have done this for a long time, you're not going to act differently instantly, but you can do it if you do it consistently. You can change if you decide to do it consistently, which is why, again, which Roger didn't know, but that's why we created our program in that way, a sequential opening up to who you are. In the message this morning, we said you develop in increments. Roger didn't understand why we used that word, and we had him look it up. And it's in a gradual kind of acceptance. When you can look it up and you can see why that specific word happens. We will tell you that that happens occasionally. It happened much more earlier on in our communications, where we would give Roger words he had no idea what they meant, and he would have to go to a dictionary to look them up. And so we're saying that because you may have experiences like that. You have access to information and knowledge and wisdom that has been around forever when you allow yourself to believe that that is possible. That's always true for every single person. Roger had the ability, the opportunity, we should say, early in his life, where he started to understand this, where another spirit guide said to him, you know, you have access to everything, all the infinite intelligence available in the world. You do, but you have to be quiet enough to be able to hear it. You have to start to believe that it can come to you. Every single person has this ability. Now, we will say you're not all supposed to do what Roger's doing, but which is why it took him so long to get here, because he knew that it would be more effective if he waited till later in his life, even though he complained about it forever. He kept saying, why is it taking me so long to awaken? Why? And we told him, because now you'll be more helpful to other people. You're going to still be around forever. It doesn't matter. Just because you didn't do it when you were 20 or 30 or 40, you're supposed to do it now. And it's the same for each of you. You're in the right place in your life right now. Coherence, as we said, means that you come to understand that you connect the dots. We have many messages we've given Roger over the years that said you connect the dots and you're like, it's like a puzzle piece. We want you to understand that because all you're doing is unwrapping the present that is you. That's what goes on. Every time you uncover some connection to why you are here, you start to accept yourself a little bit more. And many of you will have it after just today from just hearing this, because something that we are saying to you is going to reach your experience that's going to resonate because you know that you had the thought before. And that's when you start to believe it. That's when you start to accept a little bit more. And it is a process. Earlier, we said some people will get this. Some people will accept this now. And whatever you decide to do, as we said in the last communication, is perfect for your experience. We told you that Roger in 1987, when you had another big shift in your world was occurring, Roger ignored it. He thought, no, I don't think that makes sense for me. We said, okay. So then he had a different experience for those years since. Different experience, most of it really challenging, most of it really terrible, most of it really, but now he knows that it was still purposeful now. He couldn't have appreciated why he didn't do it then until now. Now it makes sense because this is more of a time. So we're saying this because we want you to each understand that thing that you're supposed to do is going to unfold once you start believing this in the time that it's supposed to unfold in your life. There are no accidents. You're not on the wrong path. But you do need to become, we're saying this now because this is from our standpoint. We need this. We need you all to come forth more because we know what's coming in the world. And we need you to understand that you need to be strong together and see the light and keep adding that to the world. And you can't do that until you accept yourself and start to love yourself. We gave you a message a few days ago, said, trust and love yourself more now. The reason we did that because we know that there are going to be other energies coming about that are not going to be doing that. But the lightness always obscures the dark, always. And you came here this time to be the light. Each and every one of you, you have trouble with that. That's why you keep bringing up the things like you listen to some of your leaders, you've got Jesus, you've got Buddha, you've got Allah, you've got all these different folks that tell you that you have within you their same qualities, abilities, because you're all one, but somehow you will think that only they have it and you don't possess that. That is never true. It's never true. And you are coming to accept that a bit more now. We did something the other day too, and we want to go back here. We have so much information. We gave you a message, said the only sin that you could commit now is not embrace yourself. That's the only thing. That's the only problem, the only sin. We use that because we wanted to impress. We use the word sin because it has religious connotations. And the religion has been something that humans have used to separate themselves from their power, from their spirit, from whatever, because you have been controlled for centuries, eons that you don't even know about, from others to prevent you from seeing that you have this ability. That is changing. You're in a period right now where there's a huge paradigm shift. There's a great big shift. And the hierarchy is now becoming less so that you can become more. And you're going to see this in different events that happen in your world. And we need you to know that nothing is for sure. Your future, your world is not created. You're doing it right now. And your energies, the way you think, what you're putting out in the world is what's going to make the difference. It's really important for you to understand that. And when you start to get that your energetic connection is so powerful, you will start to do your part because you came here to do a job. You came here to do something that would cause the world to evolve, and you, because you're part of it. There are no exceptions to this, and we can't say that enough. There were several other incidents that Roger discovered over the last several days, but we can't go into all of them now, but we want you to understand this. Each of you is sitting in a place within your world that is meant for you to help your constituency, the people around you, the people who've come before, your family, your friends, whatever it is, that you're going to help them right where you are. It doesn't matter how many people are in front of you, whoever you are being an example for, you're going to help them. And it's a trickle effect that starts to go out into the world and changes things. But it doesn't happen until you begin to decide to accept who you are. There is nothing wrong with you. And we would love for you to go back and find that message. We actually believe we gave it to Roger many times, but that was the one that was so difficult because you all think that there's something wrong with you. There is never anything wrong with you. Every single person came to perform a service, which was to give your spirit to the world when you get out of the way and stop denying that you have something to offer. That's all that ever occurs, but it just may take some time to get there. Now, you do this collectively. That's why your world looks the way it does now, because years ago, many people looked at what was happening and decided maybe it could be better. You are here now to do the same thing, but this is just a little bit bigger. You came here because you knew this would be a more important time for you to be alive, because you can make a bigger contribution. And we're saying this now because you're going to all see it. It's all coming about now. The pandemic, when it began, this is when we started earnestly sending Roger information. Many of you might have seen that he started doing things that he didn't even understand, putting together groups, bringing people together. He had no clue, but he knew that it was a time where he needed to own what he was doing and become of more service. You all had this pandemic for that experience. Some of you might have gone into different places and gotten depressed and angry. The anger is something that, oh yes, there are few people who have been so angry for so long. And that has been holding you back as well. You've got to move beyond this. The anger is totally directed at yourself, and please stop doing that, because you could not have done any better until you knew who you were. And so that's why you were angry, but the anger was meant to awaken you to start to get out of the way and do something. That's all. There are a couple of other people who have felt that their individual situations are just a little bit too strange and weird. And we will tell you that that is your gift. That is your gift. There's one individual who will not hear this, who will not see this, because they have been running from this forever. It's like maybe some of you might have in a while. Because you see, you go through your life and you think, oh, wow, I've just screwed everything up. It's been terrible. I've done all these horrible things and I'm never going to let anybody know about it. But you've come through them, you've developed, you've done something. Wouldn't it be your responsibility to give it back to the others so they won't have to go through what you've done? That's what we're doing here. Roger came to the understanding that he never wants anyone else to experience the pain, the lack, the fear, and all the problems that he has in his life. And so as he does that, then all of a sudden, all of that stuff becomes worth it. And the same is going to happen for you. You've just been judging it in a way that wasn't serving you. And you've done it through your thoughts. It's always there. It's always what you're thinking in the moment. Your most powerful place to be is in the present moment. We gave Roger that so many years ago, and it's so funny that he's understanding it now. And then we want to say that because many of you think, oh, I don't quite get everything. You will. The one thing that we gave him, and he keeps using, and he didn't quite understand it, but it was, your point of power is in the present. This was a wonderful quote that he obtained from Jane Roberts. Your point of power is in the present, meaning that you can't do anything from your past. You can only do it now. But if you're still thinking about your past and thinking that it was horrible and you did all these crazy things and you're just a horrible person, you have zero energy to do anything in your present, in your now. And the present is your present. Every single one of you has the opportunity now to make a new decision about who you are and start to move your life forward, knowing full awareness that your effort now is going to help create the world that you all want to see. And you know what we mean. You know what's happening in other parts of the world, in your countries, where you're seeing things where people aren't being taken care of, are falling apart. You are not those people. So you came here to do something different. You came here to add more. And as you start believing in yourselves, you will absolutely do that. We would love to take some questions now. Anyone, you can unmute yourself, you can speak, you can just ask anything that comes to you that is on your heart right now.
Yes, feel free to unmute your mic. If you are not comfortable being on camera, ask a question in the chat and I will ask it on your behalf.
I'll ask a question. I've been experiencing a lot of migraines, and I'm trying to figure out why.
There's another essence, a part of you that's trying to come through. There's another part of you that's trying to come through that is being blocked in a way. It's being blocked and resisted and not seen. Roger did this for years, so we understand. It is a blockage. And so once you start to accept that there's another aspect of you, another part of you that's meant to come through, be developed, it will be less. But this is also tension. There's a, when you start to understand how your bodies operate again, the headache will create a fear and then tension. And that tension will go through your entire body and down your spine. And as you start to meditate, which is what we gave Roger many years ago, when you start to meditate and imagine white light coming through your body and going down your spine and relaxing, just coming to a place of relaxing and letting go of all the fears and the worries that you might have. Now, there will still be this period of acceptance because you've been doing this for a long time. So you have to continually do this until you start to find some relief. Usually, and we're saying this, they're all different components involved in your physical ailments, every single person. There's not one thing that is coming about. But when you start to understand that you have the ability to change it, once you get in touch with who you are and start to accept more of yourself, these things start to release. We will say that the pain, they will begin to release more and more.
Thank you.
Many of you have also been shaped by your world events too. We want to speak about this because there have been many of them. And you can't ignore these. Please don't ignore your world events because you've had high emotional feelings because of them. And you were meant to, because that's why you decided to be here. So when you feel those emotional feelings, how are you going to process them? What are you going to do with them? You have to honor them by deciding to be who you are. When you see conflict in the world, then how would you possibly combat that? Are you going to go and fight them? No, you're going to add your essence, which came to be these benevolent, loving people. Because if you do more of that and you do it collectively, things start to change. But they don't do that until you start to change. Where are you stuck? Anyone? Where are you stuck? Somebody's stuck.
I feel stuck at times because I know what I need to do, but then doing it becomes a problem. I don't know. It's just this energy that just keeps me from doing exactly what I want to do. And yeah, it's really hard. It's something that I've been fighting, and yeah, I don't know what to do.
You're going to start to accept because you've been given a gift. You've been given a big mission and you felt this. You feel it and you don't believe that you can do it. You don't think that you can handle it. We said that this is what Roger did. This is why he's in your experience, to show you, no, that's not true. And so now you can start to accept this here in your position in the world. You are never given anything in your life that you are not supposed to follow through with, you're not supposed to do, not supposed to explore. But you will have the doubt because you typically rely on tangible physical things to see in front of you before you move forward. And you can't rely on that. You have to rely on what you feel. There is nothing more important than your intuitive feelings, but we have trouble for many different reasons accepting those. We have fear of judgment and whatever other people are going to think, or maybe we're just a little crazy for doing this or thinking these ways. No, that's never true either. So, but each of you have been given something, you accepted it. You accepted it. We want to say that. We like using the whole old religious thing. God never gives you anything that you can't handle, but you accepted that. You decided to come here to make a difference. And sometimes that job feels way too big for you, but it isn't. It is not. One person can make a difference in everything. And so but it's a gradual process, as we said, in the increments thing, you kind of accept it. But once you get on the road, once you start doing the work of uncovering why you're here, because it sometimes takes, it's a challenge. But once you do it, things start to shift and you will start to feel more confident. When you feel stuck, a lot of times it is because of this fear of judgment. The fear of judgment you believe is coming from the outside world. All the folks that are going to watch you and think you should not be doing this, you're not the person to do this, and all of that judgment is happening, and so then you will hold back. Except the fact is the judgment is coming from you, because you have accepted the little self, the little voice that says, no, you can't do this. You can. It just may require a bit of time. As we said, it took us 70 years to get you here now.
Okay, thank you.
When you are disowning, judging, being critical of any part of yourself, you've fallen off your track a little bit. You've fallen off your path. But doing so can help you to get back on it much more easily now, because you have a different level of awareness. You will know that when you're feeling something where you're judging yourself, that is not who you are. You're going to say, I'm going to correct that in this moment. As we said, this is your point of power is in the present. Now, what you're doing as you decide to make a new statement, you're changing your neural pathways. And over time, you become a different person, because you're now using effectively your brain chemistry to create the you that you want it to be. And so it's a process. You have to understand that you have to keep doing it. But we will do more on this too, because understanding how you have programmed yourself also provides you with the ability to program yourself anew. But it takes consistency and doing it over and over again. And you've got to be patient with it, but it will work. It always works.
How do I know that I'm on the right path?
You feel it. You feel it. You all feel it. You all feel it. But the thing that happens, which is why we're talking about it so in this big way. Okay. The most difficult part of our journey with Roger has been getting him to acknowledge what he needs to acknowledge to help more of you. Because he never thought he was on the right path, but he also knew it, just like you do. You feel it. It's an energy that happens, that occurs. Now, he understands now. Roger understands now that he didn't have to, but he wanted to do this because it would make his job here a lot more fun. But he spent all of these years denying, doubting, not believing, so he could come to the place of believing and knowing so that he could help more of you. So we're saying that because we understand the doubt that each of you holds. But you're holding that because you know that there's more. There's more for you to go to. And as you do that, the doubt starts to go away. It's a step-by-step process. Some of you, not for everyone, but more of the people here, but some people will just go out and just decide, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to live that. That is the path that they chose this time. Some of you did not choose that path, but the path that you chose is the one that's going to help you the most. If it's slow, if it's laborious, if it's all that stuff, that's what you chose, and you can change it in any time you choose. Oh, thank you. We've got to come back to that path thing again, because Roger has met with so many people, and this is the part that really he's understanding and explaining more now. Okay, he can see your probable futures, your probable realities. He can feel those because you have energies that emanate what that is. He can feel that because he's been doing this for a long time. Now, he also knows that sometimes you're not going to do it because you may not be the right time in your journey that you've accepted that and you're willing to do it. We're hoping that our words and our conversations will cause more of you to start to take that leap and accept yourself more sooner, quicker than what he did. That's why he's giving you this example. But you do not have anything in your life that you're not supposed to do. Okay, we're going to give you something else because you need to understand this. Some of you think that you've bounced around, you've done all these different things and it never worked out, and maybe you had some problems, you failed at this and you did all of that. Roger's done all of that. And he knows now that every one of them was instrumental in getting him to here, getting him to this place. We also thought it was quite fun that we picked this date, 7/11. We thought that was kind of fun. It's our lucky number. And anyway, you will see that as you start to accept more of your right place, those things will start to unfold and you'll understand the incidents that you had and why you wanted to have them. This is so horrible to say, but we will say it anyway. Because the things that you've gone through that were challenging and difficult, you think, I would never have chosen them. I would never have asked for any of this to come through. And we will tell you that you did, because once you move through it, the elation that you feel, the exhilaration doesn't even compare to the misery that you put yourself through by believing that everything was going wrong. There's no comparison. And we're going to keep working in this way until we allow more of you to accept that, because as we said, it's a process. You will not do it all at once, especially if you've programmed yourself in an opposite direction for years and years and years.
What if I think I know what I want to do, but I don't feel ready to do it right now?
You're wrong. We wish we could give you more of an answer than that, but that's what you all think, and that's the problem. That's the problem. You're ready. You wouldn't have the urge, you wouldn't have the desire unless you were ready to do it. That's with absolutely every single person. Now, we will say that you may begin and you may do it and you may decide, and you may find, oh, well, this is not it. I don't like this. Perfect. Then you go on to the next thing. We've done that many times. Roger's done that many, many, many times in his life. But then it moves you to the next place. But you can't sit back and wait until you're ready, because it will never happen. It just doesn't happen. Because you've now understanding your science again, understanding your neuroscience. If you're saying, I'm not ready, guess what you're doing? You're programming, I'm not ready, into your consciousness and into your reality. So you're never going to be ready. This is not going to happen. Your thoughts are so empowered. Your thoughts are creating your world. They're creating your life. They're creating your experience and your reality. Do we have more? We're going to leave with a final message. Okay. Does someone have something? No?
No.
Okay. All right. This is what we're going to leave you with. We need you to understand, and please try to accept as much of this as you can. We went to extraordinary lengths to get you here today. And this is the same for anyone who will hear this later, because you're not going to listen to this unless you were meant to. And when you listen to it, and whatever time you listen to it, it'll be the right time you will understand it. But the reason we went to this extraordinary lengths and why we used Roger's entire life to bring you here now is to help you understand the message that we gave you this morning, which was, after today, you may come to believe yourself more. And we purposely said more because we know you won't do it all the way right now, but that's okay. We are complete. Let me see it. Let me be able to see you again. One sec. Okay. Hi. Oh, do we have more in the chat? Something? No. Okay. This was fun. I'm so glad you guys are here. How do you feel? Anything?
Getting some thumbs ups and some rounds of applauses, and some waves.
More people will hear, and when you hear it again, because I'm going to send everybody the replay, and when you listen to it again, you will get something else from it. Something else will hit you and make more sense. And yeah, this was pretty crazy. And it was. I thought it was funny this morning. After I'm sitting there breaking down, watching Rich Branson, I go, what is happening? Because the clarity was there. And this is what I knew, that was trying to get everybody to, we will all come to understand this, because it's an important time for us to do it. And I know that there's more. I couldn't figure out what I'm going to do next, but I know I'm getting this information. No, we got to keep doing more. So I'll let y'all know, because we got to keep coming together.
I'm feeling very validated.
Oh, great.
Yeah, you said, I mean, everything that I've been meditating on and has come to me, it's like, and I even am reading this book called Think and Grow Rich. And and in one of the chapters, it talks about the messages that come to you. And it's like, if you like, everybody feels like they need validation and sometimes they don't get it, and it's difficult working towards something that's invisible. But if you look for the validation, it's there. So just ask the universe or your God, whatever you call it, for that validation. And that's exactly what I got today. And that was yesterday's lesson. So shut up.
Oh, perfect. I love that.
Hi, Terry.
It's always a little surprising when things start to pop up and make sense, but that's on purpose. And I've been told all the time, yeah, I got tired of being awakened at 3 o'clock in the morning. because they said, okay, you don't listen. So we have to keep waking you up in the middle of the night. So maybe you'll hear it. And that happens for a lot of us too. So, wow, this was good. What time is it? Oh, not a little more now. That was pretty good. It didn't go that long. Okay, we got it all in. Well, thank you all so much. This was truly amazing. And we're going to do more. I know that the rest of my life is going to be about fun, having fun and enjoying what I'm here to do. And this to some may feel like work, but for me, it's fun. And I'm going to do more of them. So we shall see. All right. Thank you all so much. Hey, I'll see you soon.